Today we're talking about the best calorie deficit to lose weight in the fastest way possible. Everyone knows you need to eat less calories to lose weight, and everyone says you need to eat 500 calories less per day to lose weight. But we also know there is no one size fits all when it comes to health and nutrition, and that's exactly why the common 500 calorie deficit might not actually be right for you. So in this video, I'm going to cover why you need a customized calorie deficit for your specific body, the side effects of a wrong calorie deficit, the formula that you can use to figure out what your ideal calorie deficit is based on your body, and guidelines to make sure you get the best out of your fat loss diet. By the way, I'm Rishan. I used to be overweight and now I'm in shape, and this is all I do all day long. Let's dive in. A 500 calorie deficit might be too much for one person, too little for another person, and just right for the third person. And if the calorie deficit is too much, you run into heaps of problems that I'm gonna cover in a second here. But if the deficit is too little, then you're stuck losing weight at a very slow pace. And that can be demotivating in and of itself and stretch out your diet longer than it needs to. Nobody wants to diet for 14 months straight. But if your calorie deficit is just right, then you'll be able to lose weight as quickly as possible without running into the problems that an extreme calorie deficit would entail. So the reason large calorie deficits are not good is because the body sees it as starvation. Since from an evolutionary perspective, if you were eating less energy than your body needs, it was probably because you didn't have enough food around you. So as a result, your body thinks you're starving and it might die. Therefore, the body tries to fight back by doing a number of things. Your body slows down your metabolism so that you need less calories throughout the day to survive. And if you think about it from a survival perspective, which your body does, it's actually really smart to bring down your need for food so that you don't die during this perceived period of starvation. The primary way the body does this is by subconsciously lowering everyday movement. And it's actually crazy, you won't even notice because it's subconscious. And these changes are subtle. For example, you're more likely to take the bus than walk a few blocks. You're also more likely to take an elevator than take the stairs because you just don't have the energy to, because the body is subconsciously lowering down your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the scientific term for everyday movement. And the lowering of these small everyday movements add up to a lot of calories saved by the body at the end of the day. And saving calories by the body is not good because then we burn less calories, which means we need to eat even less to lose weight. But slowing down your metabolism is one of the ways your body fights large calorie deficits. In addition to slowing down your metabolism, your body will try and eat back the weight you lost. So think about it like this. If you're saving up money to use for later, and you look at your bank account and you see a few $1,000s missing, you're gonna do everything in your power to get that money back. The body sees stored body fat like money to use later, and if you start losing a bunch of body fat, your body will do everything in its power to not lose that body fat and get it all back. And the body does this by increasing hunger. And if you've ever gone on a diet and failed the diet, you'll know that hunger and cravings are one of the biggest things that lead you astray from the diet. Happened to me many times. But hunger and cravings are just the second thing your body uses to fight back the weight loss, and it does even more. Large calorie deficits are also known to burn muscle, and that's even if you lift weights. A 2022 systematic review found that resistance training in a calorie deficit led to significantly worse preservation of lean mass than exercise where it was done not in a calorie deficit. Their meta-regression found that as calorie deficit increased, lean mass outcomes became progressively worse. In simple terms, the higher the calorie deficit, the harder it is for your body to preserve muscle mass. If you lose muscle mass, your metabolism slows down, which means your body burns less calories, and that means you have to eat even less to lose weight. This is because muscle burns 3 times more calories than body fat. So in simple terms, we want to maintain muscle mass throughout our entire diet. But muscle loss isn't even the worst part. And for this point, I want you to think about the answer to this question. Does it take energy for your body to recover? The answer is yes, it does. But if the calorie deficit is too large, your body doesn't have the energy it needs to carry out functions for recovery. So recovery capacity is lowered, and as a result, you're more likely to get injured. So clearly, we don't want to cut out too many calories, but how many calories is too much? The scientific literature shows that a healthy and good rate of weight loss is 0.5% to 1% of total body weight per week. Any weight loss that is more than 1% of your total body weight per week will risk the problems with the large deficit that we covered earlier. So anything more than a 1% deficit entails a severe deficit. Personally, I recommend losing 0.5% of total body weight per week. That slower weight loss rate mitigates all the problems that you would run into if your calorie deficit was too large. Plus, you're going to have an easier time sustaining the weight loss because it'll make it less hard day to day. So how do you know how many calories less per day to eat in order to get to that 0.5 to 0.7% weight loss per week? I'm going to use a person who is 250 pounds. So 250 times 0.5% is 1.25 pounds. Then multiply it by 3,500 calories. And this is because 1 pound of body fat is 3,500 calories. So in the example's case, 1.25 pounds per week times 3,500 is 4,375 calories. And since there's 7 days in an entire week, we're gonna take 4,375 calories and divide it by 7. And so we're gonna eat 625 calories less per day in order to lose 1.25 pounds per week for that 250-pound person. Again, do this for your own body weight and see what you get for your own number. Now that you have the calorie deficit you need for your specific body, you're gonna need to use the following guidelines to make sure that this calorie deficit is right for you. These guidelines tell you if your calorie deficit is perfect for you or if you need to dial back the intensity a little. Guideline 1 is interference with sleep. If your deficit is too big, you might get so hungry that it starts interfering with sleep. There are studies that show that people who are sleep deprived end up losing muscle mass and gaining body fat. Guideline 2 is hunger should not get too overwhelming. If you ignore it, sooner or later, you're gonna end up binge eating, which is definitely not good. Binge eating is one of the recipes for disaster of yo-yo dieting, where you diet for a little bit, then say fuck it and just eat whatever you want, and then you feel guilty, and then you start dieting again, and then you say fuck it and eat whatever you want. But if you just took a few extra weeks, a few extra months, and you actually lost the weight and kept it off because the diet was now sustainable, then you've now gotten to your goal and you've actually gotten there faster. So long story short, if hunger is an issue, you need to bring down that deficit. Happened to me a few times. All I would do is just look up food and watch people eat food. Don't get me wrong, it's good to watch, it's cool to watch, but like, if that's all you're watching, then that's a clear sign that hunger is a problem. The last sign or guideline is that if your energy levels are way too low for workouts, it's not a good idea to take a hit to your workout quality, because that's how your body gets the signaling to hold on to muscle and lose body fat. A systematic review and meta-analysis showed that resistance training during a calorie deficit preserved muscle mass. If you're running into trouble with any of the 3 guidelines for 1 to 2 weeks straight, then it's time to increase your calories and make the deficit less severe. You're better off taking a few extra weeks to lose the body fat sustainably and keep it off than have this shit explode in your face, and then next thing you know, you abandon your diet and say fuck it and make no progress at all. Just take the few extra weeks, you're not in a rush. So that's it. Now you know how many calories you need exactly for your body to lose body weight consistently over time in a sustainable manner. We covered why a 500 calorie deficit might not be ideal, the negative effects of a large calorie deficit, the science-based healthy weight loss rate per week, the formula to figure out how many calories you need for your specific body to lose a specific amount of weight per week, and the guidelines to make sure you're in the right calorie deficit. I really hope this was helpful. If it was, give it a like. If you have a question about this or have a question about fat loss or weight loss or health in general, drop them in the comments. I'll make a video for you, or I'll respond to you in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this that make fat loss easy, please subscribe. Until next time, see you later. Ugh, why is my nose so itchy, dude?